Grant and morning. Welcome to the Spark Show. We have got a fantastic show for you this morning. We're going to be talking about naked Greeks in the gymnal and why on earth Greeks actually appeared naked in so many of their sculptures and what its effect was on you in the gym today. We're also going to be talking about the full solar eclipse. So stick around for that. We're going to talk a little bit about the TradFi markets and DeFi markets. But I cannot wait for the actual topic because I'm going to share a little piece of hate I got, boom, on one of my posts and how this correlates to your ability to achieve more of who you want to be, your authentic self. We're going to talk about the fear of criticism and how to deal with that and how to inoculate yourself by becoming an influencer. Not really, but there are some things we can learn about ourselves by becoming, or at least pretending to be, an influencer, and ultimately will be how to inoculate yourself against hate comments like these. And I'm actually excited about it. So I'm going to tell you in the lesson just below why this actually excited me to get this little micro piece of hate and why I'm going to keep pressing until I get much more of that. But before that, you know what we're going to do. We're going to cover other news that'll make you smarter, news that will make you inform you of other things going on in the world, that will make you more interesting to the world, news that will uplift you, but really educate you a little bit. Let's see who's here today. Tristan Peter says, yeah, man, love the haters. Bring on the haters. If you know, you know. You got to bring on the haters, folks. So before that, we're going to be covering other news. We're going to be covering the TradFi markets. We're going to talk a little bit about the full solar eclipse and where to position yourself and why I'm perfectly positioned to finally catch a full solar eclipse, which I have yet to do. I didn't even realize it was on my bucket list. But before any of that, you know what time it is. Morning cup of gratitude. We're going to start our day with gratitude. What on earth are you grateful for today? If you cannot express gratitude for who you are, what you're up to, what you're doing, then why are you even getting out of bed? If you cannot look to the left or the right of you and put your feet down and express some form of gratitude, I present for your little consideration that you're missing out on the best joys of life. It is not the attainment of the goals that you have. It is the pursuit of the goals you have. I know that sounds like a Zen koan saying, and it is. Because the older I get, the more I realize, man, I've bought houses, I've traveled to other places in the world, I've made my own abs, I've had great relationships, and I realize it really is the pursuit of things that makes them worth the while. So what are you grateful for? Put it in the comments. I want to hear it. If you watch this show, I'm just putting this in your ear. If you see that even a clip of this moment of this show and do not put in the comments what you're grateful for, you're constipated, my friend, on gratitude. So tell me in the comments, and of course, you know I'm going to start. Aside from this topic, I believe this topic is one of the preeminent topics of our day. And I know that sounds nuts. You know I talk about goal setting. You know I talk about dreaming big. You know I talk about the total life experience. These are all very important topics in my opinion. You know I talk about mental health quite a bit because not only have I dealt with it, but a lot of the men I talk to deal with it, and obviously a lot of the women as well. But the suicide rates among men are much higher. And I am extremely curious about the correlation between that and goals and pursuit and self-concept, self-esteem, and those sorts of things. But this topic touches all of those, and it is criticism. It is the full frontal, as I call it, the full frontal. And I think we need more of a full frontal facing ourselves, if you will. So this topic is what I'm grateful. I'm grateful for. Tristan says he's grateful for the chance of greatness, even if I fall short. If I were to write this sentence, I would say grateful for the chance of greatness, even when I frequently fall short. I have let myself down more than any other human has let me down at my own greatness. I hear that again. I have let myself down more than any other human has let me down. But the trick is this: I know how to forgive myself and move on. I don't think other people do that so hot. So Tristan, thank you for sharing that. That shows me you were at least not gratitude constipated. That's what I'm grateful for this morning in this morning's morning cup of gratitude. I can start the day with gratitude. I want to hear from you in the comments. If you watch us later in the afternoon, if you see it 10 years from now on YouTube, I want to know what you're grateful for. Now, real quick, if you need someone that needs some uplifting news or message, tag someone, like, subscribe. It means the world to me as we continue to grow our following. And then don't forget to catch us tomorrow on Not Crypto Bros. And I'm super grateful for it. And don't forget to catch us at the end of the quarter, if you're in the South Florida, Central Florida area, or if you want to be, the State of the Spark, yes, boop, that's us right there. We are hosting our first IRL event, our in real life event called Community Marketing or Marketing 3.0. We're going to be doing this together, and really it's just a reason to get together. For those who are Spark citizens, subscribers to the State of the Spark and our coaching platform there, or those who subscribe to the website company and those who pay for our services there, you all have access to this for free. But the rest of you, there's a small fee. Come on down, join us. And if not this one, do not worry. We will be doing many more in the future. David James says, I'm grateful for life. Yes! And also grateful I have a lot of chances to keep learning. Thank you, David. And what David's getting at, I think, if I'm reading between the lines, is there's no such thing as failure. There's opportunities to learn. There's no such thing as failure. There's opportunities to continue learning. That's huge. Thank you for the comment, David. It means the world. I see you right there. I'm going to like it. Boom. And don't forget to like or subscribe. Let's talk about other news. Other news. In other news, we get a full solar eclipse. And yes, I'm bringing this up. Now is the time, my friends. Now is the time to start planning for the full solar eclipse next year. Well, actually, it's 2 years from now. Year and a half from now. April 8th, 2024 is the next full solar eclipse. Now, there's a fun little word that you should know from this, and this is known as the path of totality. The path of totality. Put yourself in the path of totality. And what is the path of totality? The path of totality is the path in a solar eclipse where when you're in that path, you actually view the total solar eclipse, meaning you get to see the moon covering the shadow of the earth covering the sun entirely. It's a full solar eclipse. Now, the path of totality is an interesting sentence. I've never heard this as I've looked at astrological things or astronomical things quite a bit, and I've never actually come across this particular phrase. Now, fun fact, the path of totality is 115 miles wide. Think about that. 115 miles wide. And the path in 2024, April 2024, will hit landfall, roughly Mazatlan, Mexico. And if that pricks your ears at all, it's because I have a family member with a home in Mazatlan, and I am dying to try to visit the 1st of July. We'll see if I can make that happen. But they have a home there, and I would love to actually see my first full solar eclipse on the beaches of Mazatlan. Now, here's what's interesting about the path of totality. You got to hear me on this. There's a lesson in here for those of you who are looking to make more meaning, look for principles in the world. You got to roll with me on this one. The path of totality. Put yourself in the path of totality. Here's the thing. Nature will have its way. And the path of totality is just a name we gave a natural phenomenon. 115-mile wide stretch of shadow on the surface of the earth where you too can go put yourself right in the middle of it and benefit from this glorious event. Now, how much like your dreams are this? How much like your dreams is this? How much like your dreams is this? When you think about your big goal, whether it's being a public speaker, whether it's learning how to surf, whether it's getting fantastic abs, whether it's living the total life experience, I don't care what your goal is. You often think you have to build it from the ground up. Now, what I learned from surfing that correlates to a full solar eclipse's path of totality is this. There's already momentum in the world for your thing. For example, if you were trying to be a professional baseball player, you wouldn't think, I have to build baseball from the ground up. I have to come up with the bats and come up with the diamond and come up with the positions that people play and come up with gloves, then put people in the stands and come up with the advertisers and then somewhere in there learn how to play. I put myself in the path of totality. Or like surfing, I put myself in the sweet spot where it just takes a little bit of paddling. I don't have to invent the wave. I don't have to invent the wind that made the wave or the shoreline underneath. I literally position myself. Now, here's the thing that small business owners need to learn, that I need to learn. There is a path of totality in your small business with your fitness and health, with your relationships, and with your spirituality, where there's already momentum, like the example of surfing, like the example of the path of totality for the full solar eclipse. It's already happening. And the question is are you going to put yourself in its path, or are you going to, like many entrepreneurs, believe that you have to build it from the ground up yourself? If you believe that, you are in for a long amount of pain. How do I know? Because that's what I did for about 10 years. But I have committed myself to now put myself in the path of totality, like surfing, to see where the momentum is, to see where the swell is surging, and to position myself there. You could call this derogatively. You could put this derogatively as if I were an opportunist, and I prefer to actually say I'm a flow person. I like to go where the flow is for my ultimate goals. And that, my friends, is what you can learn from a full solar eclipse. Now, the city in America where you are most likely to see this is Junction, Texas. This is where it's most likely to have the best weather. This is where it's most likely to be the clearest skies. I've put the link in the comments below. Let me drop it over here. Boom. There you go. If you want to learn more about the full solar eclipse and the path of totality and the lessons, the rich lessons you can learn from it, check it out in the links below. Let's talk about the TradFi markets. In the TradFi markets, the Dow is at 34,218. If you look at any of the indicators, they now believe we are not in a recession. They believe we are in the opposite, a full-blown bull market, where we're at 34,218. Last time I reported was at 33,800. 5 weeks ago, we were at 34,218, almost identical. But it says we're at peak greed. Peak greed means that people are buying and are hopeful about the future. The S&P 500 is at 4,310, which is up over last week. The NASDAQ is at 14,767, which is up 200 points last week at 14,556. Now, why do I share this with you? Repeat after me. I share this with you to inoculate you against emotional responses to news. You need to inoculate yourself. And we're going to talk a little bit about the full frontal shot where people can see the whole thing. And we're going to be talking about that in the form of why Greek statues were always so naked. We're going to talk about that in just a quick second. But I am doing something similar with you that Greek statues were meant to do. And that is inoculate you against the fear, the FUD, the uncertainty, the doubt, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt of what's going on in the market. Am I saying we're in a bull market? No, I'm saying a lot of the voices are saying we're in a bull market, but so what? You still have a responsibility to dollar cost average if that's what your plan is. You're executing on an investment plan of some kind. You are not to react to news. You are to respond to it, and that's why I share the TradFi markets. Let's talk about the DeFi markets real quick. In the DeFi markets, Bitcoin is down at 25,900. It got a little low over the end of last week on some really bad news. Ethereum was at 1,748, down just a little bit out of 1,873. I was hoping it was going to go a little lower than that. Cardano ADA is a bit low at 28 cents, down from 37 cents that it was. Lost about a third of its value, so I'm definitely going to be dollar cost averaging that. And XRP Ripple's at 51 cents, almost 52 cents. Last week it was at 53 cents. It's showing strong signals right now based on the positive news that it might settle its case with the SEC soon. We will see. I believe if there was a cryptocurrency that stands the best chance of IPOing, and IPOing means it's bridging from the DeFi markets to the TradFi markets. It's going from the degen crypto space into the traditional markets where it might be listed on one of the indices. I believe XRP and Circle both stand the best chance of being listed, and speculatively, and I speculate that might actually help their own tokens. Let's talk about naked Greek men. In our final piece of other news, why were Greek statues so often, men and women, so often naked? Now, this is a little piece of history, but it's also a little piece of lesson that leads us into the lesson for today, and that is you being bolder and facing criticism. Now, you can see where I'm going very quickly on this. There were several major reasons why Greek statues were constantly and consistently depicted naked. And we often think of naked men. There's a lot of male sculptures, but females were not immune to this. However, the male phallus often appeared in a lot of scenarios, and there's a lot of social reasons, but one in particular is one I want to call out, called civic nudity. You see, a lot of Greeks, especially Greek warriors, appeared naked in war. They thought it intimidated their enemies, similar to Scottish warriors lifting their kilts. It showed a brazenness, almost a psychotic nature of looking at me, and I am revealed, and I am ready and willing to go out of this world like I came into this world naked. It was meant to be a brazen, bold thing. But there was an aspect of Greek life that was civically naked. And it was civic nudity, and there was three reasons or three factors of why people appeared naked in civic life. Number one, only citizens of a certain socioeconomic class were encouraged to become athletes. You had to have a certain status in society to be an athlete in Greek society. So today, if you're somebody, you always signal that you have a luxury brand if you're carrying a Louis Vuitton, if you have a puff jacket, if you have a large watch. For Greeks, their version was complete nudity or partial nudity in public spaces. It showed that they had a level of status and wealth that allowed them to take the time to be in the gym, to exercise, to hone their body. And it also forced themselves to be integrated about that life. Look at me, there is nothing to hide. I am not afraid of anyone. I have nothing to hide. I'm not hiding money. I'm not hiding weapons. I'm not hiding my scars. It was a bold moment, and you could even say it was a type of ancient Greek influence to go about naked. Now, the second reason was something I've already alluded to. Athletes in this socioeconomic class were naked throughout both their trainings and their competitions. Just as they walked to the store naked to show off their class or their status, they also competed in that form. So whenever they were at the gym, they were naked. Whenever they were competing in the Olympics, they were naked. And we take this for granted because not everyone in their society was naked. Not every Greek walked around the marketplace naked. But if you looked and saw a naked male or a naked female, mostly all naked men, you could say, whoa, that person's got bling. It's like people going to Instagram and browsing to the Kardashian page. They could actually see that this person was a celebrity because they walked around naked boldly, unafraid of the world, and had honed their body. That's what the athletes did. And the third was that naked athletic training did, even then, have an overtly erotic character to it. To see men wrestling or to see women wrestling or fighting, even though we have a little bit of sense about this when we go to gyms today. We look at bodies and it's very erotic of its own kind. It was no different then. They just had a greater degree of boldness, and it showed amount of pride and wealth to be able to walk around naked. Now, that is interesting, Grant, for a Monday morning on why we're talking about naked Greek men and women. But what's the point? The point is most of this circulates around the gym. What we know is the gym. It comes from the Greek word gymnos. I have a tough time pronouncing it. Gymnos. If we were reading Spanish, we'd say gymnos or gimnasia, or in English, gym. And all of them are a little bit different than the Greek is gymnos. And what the word gymnos meant, by definition, in ancient Greek was naked, or the naked place. Now, naked then meant what it means today. It was a physical nudity, but it was also when you felt naked, you felt revealed. The thing about the gym that a lot of the trainers in Greek gyms taught was that you have to be naked so that you cannot hide your flaws. You see, then, as now, people are petrified of being criticized. They're petrified of being judged. And, as the Greek trainers taught, if you cannot stand here naked, you are not fully honed. You're not fully trained. When you're naked, you can see, man, I've got these love handles. I got to deal with them. Hey, I thought I was going to compete in that one event, and my body type is not honed for that sort of thing. So they named it the naked place. They named it the place of revealing. so that when you stepped in, you knew you were there to reveal your weaknesses and strengths in order to work on them. You see, the place where you work on your weaknesses is the same place you reveal them. That was the power of the gymnos, or what we know today as the gym. How many of you hate the gym? You don't like the gym because you feel revealed. You feel like you're overweight when you're there. It's revealing you're wearing tight clothes. You're feeling like people are looking at you. They are. But they're not judging you to tear you down. They're judging you because they're rooting for you to work on the very thing that you feel self-conscious about. If you talk to most of the people at the gym and got to know them, they're actually doing the same thing. They're there with a tank top on, or they're there with thin clothing as well, and they're having to face themselves in the mirrors and realize, man, I don't have that physique I'm looking for. It's the revealing place. The lesson for you is that the place where your flaws are revealed is the way and the place to work on them. If you are avoiding revealing your flaws, A, to yourself, B, to the stakeholders that love you, that you impact, you are also preventing all of you from entering into the space of working on it. Said more simply, if you're avoiding your flaws, you ain't working on them. That's the lesson from naked Greek men. And the story is this, and you see this in real life. The more someone works out and feels confident, even if they don't have a traditionally sexy body, the more they work out, the more willing they are to go to the pool and wear a bathing suit, or go to the beach, or walk around the house without their shirt on, or be in a little bit more revealing clothes because they know they're making progress. If you notice that people get bolder than their fitness allows as they start getting fit. What I mean is this: someone could be completely obese, and as they start making progress, they wear thinner and thinner clothes. They might not have a beach body, but the difference between where they were and where they are, and their sense of control, there's an honesty and a transparency that comes out, and a boldness that I don't care what people say about me, because I'm moving the right direction. There's a boldness that comes with that, which is why I started today's show by saying it's not the destination, it's the journey, because we want to feel comfortable in our own skin right where we're at. Let me give you a quick link. If you want to read more about why men and women always seem naked in Greek art, and where I derive this correlative thought that there's a huge lesson here for you, and in self-confidence. Self-confidence does not come because you change your mindset. Self-confidence comes with an irrefutable proof of work behind you. Well, I've lifted weights. I've been consistent at the gym. I've been consistent on my jogs. I've been consistent in my nutrition. Whatever is the thing that's bugging you, that proof of work to yourself builds up self-confidence. Self-confidence, you cannot flick a switch. You'll feel like an imposter. You have to stack personal success, not success from others, personal success after personal success after personal success. You have to stack that, but that only comes when you've bottomed out, you've looked at yourself in a full frontal, and you've said, no more. And I'm going to share mine in just a quick second. Let's talk about a few quick biz updates. And guess what, folks? That wasn't the lesson for today. That was teeing up the lesson for today, because I think it's super important context. Real quick in our businesses, Spark Billing Services is killing it out there. Go check out what Adam Welchel is doing. They're growing and going. They have a huge amount of opportunities that I can't reveal right now, but he is taking on the challenge of growth. And I have a huge ongoing amount of respect for what Adam is up to. Spark Sites, growing and going, taking on new clients. We launched the Lakelander magazine. We launched the Dross's website. We just acquired another website, which a gentleman has a single product, and that single product produces close to $1 million a year in revenue. And we're building his website and rebuilding that. Super proud of that. Wonderland Investment Group, we're down, but we're going to be dollar cost averaging again this week because everything is down, and it's a great opportunity to lower our dollar cost average. Real estate investments, looking again at Coco, at everything from 1-1s to 6-4s, looking at all of that in Cocoa, Florida, as well as a series of towns in North Carolina that we think are good destination towns, Bryson City being one of them. Looking at Hendersonville, which is closely located to the Biltmore Estate and Asheville Airport, really good locations. Just trying to put our investments in order and considering selling our property with the most amount of equity so that we're sitting on cash because we do think that the market might pull back. And then traditional investments. My stock market, stocks, TradFi is doing fantastic. My crypto is down a little bit, but I'm still above my dollar cost averages. And we're going to be doing that. Check in for another financial check-in later. I want to continue to update you all on how I'm achieving and continuing to pursue financial freedom. And then the other thing you should know about, relaunching Spark Training. So if you need coaching, mentoring, or training for your small business, we will be launching not only a platform where you could do it yourself, get the lessons, get the tools, not just lessons and courseware. This is our actual tools that we have used in Spark sites, building Spark, all of our leadership programs, building our investment programs. We're putting these into a set of tools for you and a framework. That's coming. You'll get access to that, but you'll also have access to one-on-one coaching. So all of that is happening in coming in Q3, so watch for that. Let's talk about an extension of this story of naked Greek people. Why you should become an influencer, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, at least temporarily, and how we can begin dealing with criticism to become our best selves. Let's talk about it. So, I got a hate comment, and I want to share this with you, and I say this with all the joy and pride. I got a hate comment over the weekend from a video. This is a video I posted of my workouts, and I said, work out with me. Saturday morning, shoulders, and I was working on my shoulders. And then I got this comment. The comment said, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Another wannabe fitness instructor who has no clue. Please stop. Now, you know, I'm not a wannabe fitness instructor. There was a time that I did want to be a fitness instructor. I was a CrossFit instructor, and maybe for the hell of it, I'll do it again. And maybe for the hell of it to show T. Kelly up, I will become. But then I said, hey, T. Kelly, my personal fitness journey as a small business coach encouraging others to move is the stupidest thing you've ever seen, ever? Get outside, my friend. And then he got more specific. I'm doing my shoulder shrugs wrong. And then I said, well, point me in the right direction instead of the hate. That's how people build each other up. Now, I'm going to leave the comment up. I have no shame in this hate comment. Yes, it did throw me off, but it didn't ruin my day. You see, this comment is no worse than what you constantly think about yourself quite often when you think about your own fitness and health, when you think about your own business. This comment's no worse. I also posted a set of colors. We're rebranding State of the Spark. And we have a new set of colors, and we put these out on a palette. And it happened to look like a rainbow. Now, a good confidant of mine and a friend jumped on and said, oh, so you're on the pride train now. And I was like, what is this person talking about? Now, very clearly, I am an ally of anyone trying to shape their identity. I am. I don't necessarily go to pride parades or wave a pride flag. I have no reason to, and I have no reason not to. I'm neutral to it because it's not my cause, but I do consider myself an ally on people's journeys. And we could talk about that in another show on my own journey of identity in my teens. We could talk about that. I don't mind sharing that. But this person posted this, and there was a thing that came up in me that said, oh, is this person going to judge that I'm because I'm in a conservative area, is this person going to judge me that I'm in the pride thing? And I thought about it. And I said, no, that's not why we did it. And it just so happens it's, I guess, Pride Month. And this wasn't even on our radar. And our palette of colors do look like a version of a rainbow flag. And then I started thinking like, man, rainbows have meant color and joy and prisms and promises in the Christian circles. It has meant so many things throughout time. And for us, the State of the Spark team, it means optimism and abundance and lifting everybody up. That's what our new color scheme is. And it's not a flag and it's not a rainbow. It's just a series of gradients. But that's what this person said. But what I want you to hear is that I noticed that I was afraid of criticism for a moment. And I decided to embrace it and answer the questions. And I posted some responses to that where I showed, no, man, this is about an NFT collection that we have a lot of respect for. And it represents optimism, which you know that we're all about. And so I decided to do a full frontal. Now, what is a full frontal? I've used this phrase several times. A full frontal used to be the phrase when you had like a rated R film. And some person, a female or a male, would show up and they'd show a full frontal of the person naked. And this was taboo at the time. And this taboo, I don't want you to focus on the sex. I want you to focus on the taboo. The taboo, and that's what a full frontal is. It reveals everything like the naked Greek men from the other news segment above or previously. You see, fear of criticism, fear of being fully revealed, fear of being at the gym and people seeing that you're a little overweight, fear of going to the beach where everyone's at because you're afraid they might see a little bit of your fat, of your stretch marks or your fat on your body, fear of posting videos of yourself about your business because you're afraid they might judge the way your skin is or the way your hair is or the way you might not be that articulate. Or you're afraid they might see the quality of your work slow. We're going to come back to that. The fear of criticism, I think, is the linchpin of all fears. Now, we could say the fear of death ultimately, but it's circulating. The fear of death, you're only afraid of being ostracized, of losing economics, of losing your network. You're only afraid of these things because you're afraid that they will criticize you. And I think the fear of criticism is the most salient point we have. I have several contacts who refuse to update their social media with where they're at. Now, they say, I don't want the government to know where I am. But the truth is, if you talk to them, they are afraid of criticism because they're not really doing what they say they're doing. Now, we're going to come back to that in a second, but I want to read something to you very quickly from the book Tribes by Seth Godin. It's just a quick sentence, and it says this. When I get a bad review, my feelings are hurt, I must admit. This is almost enough to ruin my day. You see, Seth Godin's an author, and he writes a lot of books. So when he gets a bad review, his feelings are hurt. This is almost enough to ruin my day, but it's not enough to ruin my day because I realize what a badge of honor it is to get a bit of criticism. It means that I delivered and confounded. It means I delivered what I promised I would deliver, and I have confounded expectations. Now, we know that getting hate comments, like the hate comment I got, should be a badge of honor. We know that when someone in your network pipes up and says, hey, are you sure you want to post that? Are you sure you want to share that about yourself? Because it's a little too revealing. We know psychologically, or we know rationally, that is what we need to be doing. We need to put ourselves out there. We need to put our videos about our business and our work out there. We need to put our personality out there. We need to do live shows and make commentary. Yes, even as it's associated with our businesses, whether it's political or not. If you're political, you need to put it out there. If you're a racist, you need to put it out there. I remember I was just looking up a town in North Carolina. I was looking for a gym because I might be spending some time in this town in North Carolina. And this one gym had a 2.5 star rating. And when you read why, it had 200 reviews. And its average was 2.5? The number one reason? Because the owners were racist and demeaning. Now, if that's your bag, put it out there. We're in an age of authenticity. How do we deal with criticism? And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. How do you deal with criticism? I believe the only way to deal with the fear of criticism is to inoculate yourself against it. Hear me on that. Exposure therapy, they call it. I believe you have to inoculate yourself to criticism. And what is the number one way to inoculate yourself against criticism in today's day and age? And here we go. I believe, like a Greek statue, walking around naked, at least psychologically, I believe you should try to become an influencer, at least temporarily. Let me say that again. I believe you should put on the hat of becoming an influencer, at least temporarily, in order to flush out the places in yourself that you are being dishonest and to inoculate yourself against criticism, because we need bolder people. We need bolder ideas. We need more action taken. Because the people around us have become walking generalities instead of meaningful specifics, as Zig Ziglar used to say. Do you want to be a walking generality or a meaningful specific? I correlate this idea of a walking generality as the type of person who is a meh. What are you up to? I don't know. Where do you want to go? Meh. You can hear in their voice they're avoiding making decisions because they are afraid of criticism. Now, I don't want to trivialize this. Criticism can be damaging. real criticism. Criticism from a few people could be devastating to your economic life, to your emotional set. I don't want to trivialize it. But if it's the biggest thing preventing you from doing something you know is authentically you, you need to whether go into therapy with that person or whether it's inoculate yourself against it. However you want to go about it, I think that the best way we have available to us is to become an influencer, at least temporarily. Hear me out on this. In today's day and age, there's a thing that we call and that we'll be teaching on at the end of the quarter event called community marketing. And the community marketing event is what we call Marketing 3.0. Now, there's a lot of elements to this that we'll be covering over the weeks, but that's not the point of today's show. Community marketing could also be referred to as authenticity marketing. You see, as we get this wave of AI-driven photos and AI-driven articles, and as we see so many influencers, our bullshit meter dials up is a phrase I've been using. I call it the omniscience age. It's no longer the information age. It's the omniscience age. You have access to every bit of knowledge that the human species generally has, barring very few exceptions. But for the most part, all of humanity's known knowledge is online and available to you and growing minute by minute. What I mean by that is every hour on YouTube, there's 10 additional hours of content being uploaded. And what I mean by that is humanity is just downloading its knowledge into the web. You have access to all knowledge. And so your brain is trying to deal with this. And it's dialing up its filter of A, what is relevant to you, B, what sounds like BS. So in our omniscience age, your bullshit meter's getting really dialed in. And though there's a lot of influencers out there, that's where you're starting to filter, is this relevant to me? Do I care about this fitness influencer? No. If not, move on. Do I care about this business influencer? No. Okay, move on. So our filters are really dialing up. But what I have realized something about becoming an influencer is this. In spite of some of the normal criticisms of all the people that are faking being an influencer, for a long time, everyone said they're faking these lives, and there's this great degree of malaise and stress going on in people around comparing themselves to influencers. I'm not saying compare yourself to an influencer. I'm saying become one. Because what you'll realize is most of those influencers are faking, and so you stop comparing yourselves to them. Oh, they're a millionaire. They're on daddy and mommy's money. Or they've forsaken every other aspect of your life. One aspect is we used to follow a lot of van life influencers, and I don't follow them anymore because I realized that van life is miserable. Living van life is very difficult. From the year I lived in the Dominican Republic, I realized living on a foreign island when you're ambitious and want to talk to people in your native English, it is very difficult, not impossible. Certain temperaments can handle it, but certain temperaments can handle it means it's not for everyone. The influencer world is accelerating us learning what's a fit for us or not. It's a function of the human species. I don't necessarily believe it's good. I don't necessarily believe it's bad. I believe it's an accelerant, like a chemical accelerant. The influencer strata of society is helping us learn, and I think you should tap in. Here's why. It forces you to become integrated. I was recording video of myself back in 2011, 2013, of living in the Dominican Republic and posting about this. And as the more I posted, the less integrated I felt, specifically about the topics we were posting. It wasn't just about living on the island. We were doing a lot of missionary posting. And I realized I don't really believe some of the things I'm saying. The more I would record and post, the more I realized I don't want that to stick to my name. It was the act of being public in a full frontal of what was going on, and then me having to create meaning about that for people watching, that I was confronted with the reality. I cannot fake it until I make it in today's society. Faking it is unsustainable. How many influencers have you seen that used to travel around the world? They said, we're traveling, and they traveled for 9 months and realized, I can't do this, and they stopped. And they stopped posting. Most all of them. Now, they might still travel in buckets. They might still go on trips in little spots here or there, and they modify their language. What they've done is they've moved closer to being integrated with themselves because they had a full frontal reveal of that thing. I believe, at least temporarily, you should try to become an influencer so that you can be faced with what... Is this just fear? Am I just afraid of being in my bathing suit at the beach? Is that all it is? Well, if I can overcome my fear, then on the other side of that is access to the things I want in life. If I'm afraid that my partner will leave me, if I stay, I'll never know if I tried. But if I try, I will at least at minimum be authentic. B, I might dispel my fears. C, my fears might come to pass, but I realize it won't kill me. In a zero-sum game, given the math, you should be bold. In a zero-sum game, given the math, you should be bold because you also do a service to the people around you who are getting sick of your neutral self. Your undecisive neutral self. You go to work and you're like, indecisive, and you think about where you want to live and you're indecisive, and opportunities come and you hem and haw and you're indecisive. The truth is you already have an internal compass and you just don't want to boldly say if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Nope. It's not a hell yes. Nope. It's not a hell yes. Let me give you a quick framework that I want to offer for you on how you can begin to inoculate yourself to the fear of criticism, because the world needs the boldest version of you. No, you don't have to be loud like me. No, you don't have to be boisterous like me. You can be an introvert and be bold. Someone needs to tell you that. You can be neutrally ambivalent, but still bold. You don't have to be an extrovert like me. Let me give you this quick one, and it's IRPA, I-R-P-A. IRPA, I, identify. Identify the area you need to be bold in, and you know it in your heart of hearts. Identify the area that you know in your heart of hearts you need to be bold in. Is it public speaking? Maybe. Is it fitness and health? Is it your tan? Is it finding an ideal partner? I've been dying to get a tan. And I live in a landlocked area of Florida. I'm already pretty tan. It's okay. But I loved my beach tan. And because I'm not on the beach, I don't get to the beach. I don't want to get into a tanning booth necessarily. That feels too fake. So finally, I've been kicking it around my head about going to a local public pool. And there's all these reasons to not. And then I couldn't picture how. And I'm not going to do this. And finally, yesterday, I said, let's just go. I'm just going to go. So I went to the public pool. I sat there for 20 minutes and left. I did that small movement. What will people think? And I got rid of it, dispelled it, and just showed up for about 20 minutes and took care of it. Identify the area you wish you were bolder in. Public speaking, fitness and health, your tan, finding an ideal partner. I met a gal at the gym, and as we got to talking, we were standing next to each other on the treadmill. We got to talking, and I asked her what her goal was, and she was totally embarrassed to say. And finally she said, I finally kind of coaxed her into saying, and she said, and she was super afraid that I would judge her. She was embarrassed about how silly it might sound. She even said this sounds silly. I said, what is it? She said, I'm looking for an ideal partner. And she went on to describe her ideal partner. And as she was describing her ideal partner, just saying it made her bold, and she started to smile more. Just saying it, you could see her shoulders lifted up, and she could continue to describe it. She was at the fear stage when it was still locked inside of her. But once she actually started saying it, you could see boldness come to her. You could see hesitation fall off of her once she said it out loud. You see, we're not afraid necessarily even of the fallout. We're afraid of being afraid of the fallout. It's all the anticipation of the fallout that is the scariest. So number one, identify the area you wish you were bold in. Write it down. Number 2, record yourself. Yes. Open up your cell phone, hit record on video, and record yourself sharing your desire and intentions as boldly as you can muster. Do this. We're talking about it. No one has seen it yet. You're just recording it. You're just rehearsing, saying it out loud. Where again, the goal is to inoculate you to the fear of criticism. If you are inoculated to the fear of criticism, when it comes, you won't be afraid of it. You'll just continue going because the anticipation of that fear is the biggest thing. What do people think? Number 2, record yourself. And then number 3, now post it. Yes, that very video. Do not edit it. Post it. Why? Because in the feed, in less than 24 hours, no one's going to see it again. Whether it's Instagram feed and YouTube, no one will see it after tomorrow, most likely. And here's the thing, it's done. Those jitters are out. You put it out there and you got away with it that very few people even saw. Your YouTube channel doesn't have 5,000 people like mine. Your Instagram doesn't have 20,000 people like mine. Or your TikTok, I'm sorry, not Instagram, your TikTok. No one's going to see it. Maybe a few. But you would have faced those nerves a little bit. And here's the thing about number 3, and that's posting it, and it's this. Do it again tomorrow. Hey, just putting my goal out there. This is day number 2. Then I'm putting my goal out there. This is day number 3. Just putting my goal out there. Day number 4, just putting my goal out there. Put your goals out there. This is a means of communication. And remember, you're putting on the influencer hat only temporarily until you have zero fear of criticism. The only way to get over fear of criticism is to take your thing into the biggest public place you know how and tell them about it. That's the power here. Number 1, identify. Number 2, record. Number 3, post. Post many more like it and post daily. I started this show in the middle of the pandemic. I've done nearly 300 of these shows. I've done almost 75 of now crypto shows. I've done umpteen other interviews. I have done hundreds of shows now. I have a zero fear of turning this camera on and going. I did the same thing when I was in theater. I just kept going to shows and standing on the stage, and when there was nobody there, then I'd sit on the stage as the crowd would mill in. Then I'd sit on the stage when the crowd was there to get over my fear. You've always been bold. No, I've always desired being bold more than I desired not. And number 4, acknowledge. Remember, the acronym is IRPA. Identify, record, post, acknowledge. Acknowledge the comments, including the hateful comments. Acknowledge them. Don't run from them. A lot of influencers and gurus will tell you, ignore them. Well, maybe. But you should begin interacting with every comment, not only to drive your algorithm, but you should interact with every comment so that you get over the fear of communicating. So that the one time a hateful comment comes, instead of hiding your head in the sand and ignoring it and pretending like it's not there, find an honest, integrated, kind, integrated way for you to respond without continuing the hate cycle. I told this guy, let's look at this comment. I told this guy, hey, point me in the right direction instead of the hate. I called it out. I didn't hide from it. That's how people build each other up. I lived in an integrated way according to my principles and values. Inoculate yourself to the fear of criticism if you're holding back in any area of your life. Just like the ancient Greeks, who it was a sign of wealth, and not only wealth and money, but psychological maturity to be able to stand naked in the marketplace, to train naked, to become an athlete naked. It wasn't just about athletics, it was about the boldness of heart, which was a major quality of the Athenian Greeks, as well as the Spartan Greeks, men and women. Did you know it was so important to be bold, and not just in war, but in communicating to your fellow man, that if you did not exhibit boldness, you were not allowed to have a headstone. You would not be remembered by time if you did not act boldly for the thing inside of you. Why do you think the Greeks to this day were referencing them for the impact they had on society? The world needs that from you. IRPA, identify the place you need to be bold, or more importantly, the place you've been running from and procrastinating. Record yourself on video talking about it in spite of your fears and self-criticisms. Number 3, post that video today and tomorrow and the next day until you have a zero fear of who you are. And number 4, acknowledge all the feedback, all the comments in person, in the comment feed. Rumors from friends, go up to those people and say, hey, thanks for the feedback. I really appreciate it. I'm going to improve in that area. Until you are unafraid of the fear of criticism, like a Greek warrior with a full frontal standing naked and saying, this is who I am. I encourage that for you. Why am I talking about this? Great quote. I always say it. If you watch your show once, you've probably seen it. Don't go out and try to find what the world needs and meet it. Don't do that. Go out and find what makes you alive. Because what the world needs is people who are alive. Are you walking generality, or are you a meaningful specific? Do people know what you stand for, or are you ambivalent and ambiguous? You don't have to pick a side. You could pick a third option. Your option could be like, I don't get sucked into politics. That's my position. Leave your politics at the door, but be firm and be clear. Your position is, my politics are intellectualism. That's it. Your take on anything that's a hot thing, you don't have to pick one side or the other, pick a third, but whatever it is you do, make it clear what your stance is. Why do I talk about any of this? because I want you to act boldly. I want you to be bold. I want you to share more of who you are with the world. That's why we covered today's topic. But no matter what you do today, I'm sharing this because I want you to remember the mission, igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great day.